We do see a lot of people like in the personal coaching world and everything like that. They're wanting, like especially a lot of time with women, I want to find myself a conscious man, right? And I want to find this it's going to get it and get me, right? It's like, that's not always rainbows. Like, that's not always such a good thing. Like a lot of time,
often fantasy thinking.
well, it's not as easy as you think. You think, I'm going to get this conscious man, therefore it's going to make for a great relationship.
Well, it's going to be easy.
It's going to be easier.
Yeah.
But you know, you get these people that end up going into like a conscious warfare all the time, where it's like, who can out-conscious the other, and everyone's still stuck in their coaching, still got their coaching hat on within their interpersonal relationships, and they have no way of allowing themselves to slip out of that, where their dynamic with their partner isn't, I'm here to coach you.
And just on what you said then, really valid point, right? Because we see this a lot in coaches or people in the conscious community. It's like, you got to ask yourself, why are you learning the knowledge? And are you learning the knowledge so you can avoid ever feeling that pain again? So it's like a spiritual bypassing in a way, where it's like, I get into a relationship, I get a conscious partner, but I still want to be right about everything. Now, what is really consciousness? What is really spirituality? Like, how are you spiritual? If you can't mix with certain people, and I can only be around these kind of people, are you really that spiritual? And when you are in a conscious relationship, it's like, cool, this is what gets real interesting, because you got two people that have learned self-development, they've learned ways of being, and they've learned a new way of surviving in a relationship. So then it's like, I'm going to out-conscious you, or I'm going to be right. And we've spoken about this many times.
And you have to make things more head on.
There's demons that lurk within the darkness too. It's like you want to have like a let's say you call it a non-conscious. I think everyone's conscious. Otherwise, if you weren't conscious, you'd be on the ground unconscious, right? But let's say like a deeper relationship of awareness. It's going to bring a lot up, and it requires a lot of vulnerability. It requires a lot of honesty. It requires a lot of communication, and a lot of like letting go of that ego and going, yo, I'm a freaking human, and being transparent. And it's like, letting someone fully see you can be very scary, but it's so powerful at the same time. And you know what you said before, earlier in this conversation, you said that it's about taking ownership. And one of the biggest things that I learned was that, you know, love is not the greatest thing. I think it's like, and it sounds controversial because people say like, oh no, love is everything and love is all. And it's like, no, like you can love an airplane, but you don't know how to fly one, right? Like, I love sports cars, but I had no idea how to fix one. If I want to learn how to do that, I got to sit down, take the test, do the practice, ask the questions, like go through the years and really absorb it to get to a place where I actually understand it enough to be able to do it. And that's effort. Effort is required. And the same thing in a relationship, whether it's conscious or not so conscious, it's effort. You can't bypass that.
That willingness to grow. There's like a lot of these people are stuck in protecting this identity, where it's like, fuck no, if I'm going to be, you know, shown to be not what I want to see myself to be, I'm not willing to have that happen, because I've got my whole identity hitched on this. Whereas, you know, I again, like so many of our friends are just not in the space, but their willingness to grow and learn is admirable, and that's all you can really ask for a lot from anyone, you know.
Yeah, your willingness to connect has to be higher than the willingness to be right.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Is like, you either want to grow or you want to be right. You want to either find what's useful or you want to be right. You want to find what's right or you want to be right. And a lot of people just really want to be right, and that's the scary thing. And that's why a lot of people within our space can't have banter. They can't be lighthearted. They don't want to have any shadow integration. They don't want to show the hard side, because that means that's too conflicting to the identity that they've created. You know, I've had this grandiosity down here where I've had this stuff to heal, and now I'm grandiose up here where I'm above human, because I've done this work. I'm getting this acknowledgement. I'm getting these people see me as this. Therefore now, well, your likelihood of being able to receive being anything other than what you see yourself to be becomes very strict.
Dude, that's my life. That's my experience. Like, down to a T. It's like by the time I was 14, 15, really successful in DJing, producing music, then radio, then record label deal, left that, then went into, you know, Addicted to Success and launched that, then everything else has come from it. And like, a lot of what I touch turns to gold. And so just like constantly focusing on that and making that priority in my life and valuing it, and then getting acknowledgement all the time for that. It's like, it's feeding me. You know how you talk about this, it's like, what's feeding you?
Yeah.
Right? You got to be like so careful with what's feeding you, and make sure that you're not building your whole identity off that. And it's like, for me, it's something I battle with all the time. It's like, how do I step outside of it? And it's even like, am I being authentic? Even though I feel like I'm being authentic. And that's why, like, I value you guys so much, because you can call me out on my shit. You know, and it's like, hey, Joel, like, we really know who you are, and you challenge me, and that's great friendship. And it should be the same in partnership too, where you've got each other's back. You know, and I like to think, you know, like, I'll be able to do the same thing for you guys. I know that for sure. And I think that so many people now are getting caught up in the not even just in the self-development space, but just generally in the social media world, of like not knowing, how am I supposed to show up anymore? Because you've been like programmed by society and social media on this is what gets accepted the most, and it's like you start to become part of the game, not knowing that you get to create your own game. But it's just because we've been so programmed in it ourselves, and we're seeing everybody else as our reference points doing the same thing. And a lot of people are lost and having ingenuine friendships and relationships, and burning themselves out trying to keep up with this image they think is going to feed them, when ultimately it doesn't. It poisons their system.
That triggers into dating a lot. And like, you know, that's the thing, and that's why I mean, my dating style and Emile's dating style and your dating style are like worlds apart. Right?
So different.
They're worlds apart.